Last time on Let's Play Mega Man X3. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. Boba Fett? Zero and I destroyed you years ago. Did I hit my head and wind up in some parallel universe or whatever? Now y'all may be thinking, you're nuts! I know everything there is to know about the shrimping business. And how can I make fun of typos? Bow before your overlords! The shrimps! All will be forced to eat shrimps. And now the continuation. Let's just jump into it. In this episode we're actually going to tackle Volt Catfish. Not to be confused with Volt Catfish, which is a boss from this very game. In fact, we'll actually be running into Volt Catfish later in this playthrough because I defeated Vile with his weakness. And, he's also somehow weak to Volt Catfish's weapon. I don't get that. That's a whole other can of worms that we're not going to open up just yet. He's also not to be confused with Volt Kraken, which is the Japanese name of Squid Adler. Oh, and to make matters even more confusing, Volt Kraken's weapon is the Tri-Thunder, and Volt Catfish's weapon is the Triad Thunder. Capcom, are you trying to confuse people? That's mighty confusing. And also, to make matters worse, apparently in the game Mega Man Extreme 2, Volt Catfish's weapon is the Tri-Thunder, which is just dumb. Why would you give two weapons the same name, and they're kind of completely different? It's just weird. Anyway, this is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Mega Man X3. In the last episode, we took care of two previous Mavericks, and we also got a few new upgrades, which is to say mostly just the arm part. And in this episode, we're going to actually finish off the Mavericks and collect all of the upgrades that are remaining that I can't collect at least, and we'll also even get a chance to see the first Doppler stage. We'll only be able to clear the first Doppler stage because there are a lot of upgrades that I missed. That is one thing that a lot of people don't like about this game, and often the series in general. It tends to include a decent bit of backtracking.
Enter this capsule, X. Take this armor upgrade. This upgrade will decrease the damage done to your systems. As you receive damage, a defense shield will be generated to protect you.
So, yep, this just reduces damage done to your systems. It's basically like previous armor parts, except it's interesting in the rest of the series because it actually does not grant you a Giga Attack. As I've said before, the Giga Attack is actually absent from this game. So that's definitely gonna come in handy for later. I've also figured I'd show off the charged parasitic bomb, which isn't bad, but it's also a bit clumsy because it doesn't cause nearly as much damage as you'd like it to, and that's kind of annoying. Volt Catfish's stage, by the way, is actually one of my favorites in the game. It's got a nice pace to it, and I like the way that it relies on cramped corridors. Also, one thing I said in a previous episode was that Blast Hornet's stage change is just limited to clearing some boxes in Gravity Beetle's stage. Specifically, I kind of meant that that's the only change to Gravity Beetle's stage, and that's kind of true, except that's also not true. It's fake news, I say! No, actually, the real change that the bigger change, arguably, is that a lot of the stages that have enemies with cannons on them, that have cannons that shoot things up at you, those actually go away. They start off red, but then they turn green after you defeat Blast Hornet, so it's actually not true that the only change is just removing boxes. I'm sorry, that was some fake news, but nonetheless, I'm correcting it here in this video. In other fake news, I'm pretty close to launching some account that allows me to get paid for this work, but yeah, of course that's not true, because it is the latest in fake news, so I'm a ways from being money, give me now, give me money, money me give, to me money give, money to me give right now. Fuck you, pay me. Wow, that escalated quickly. What am I, EA? EA jokes never get old. I swear they just are the worst, and yeah, I don't take that back. EA just kinda sucks. But among other things that don't suck, back to this game. Yes, I don't think it sucks. The Triad Thunder, it has a similar name to the Tri-Thunder, but that's not the only thing it has in common with the Tri-Thunder. They're both really good weapons. Even detractors of this game often praise the Triad Thunder, and I agree, it is a pretty good weapon, but I don't think it's the only good weapon. See, the other weapons like the Spinning Blade and the Frost Shield work really well, as does the Acid Burst on certain occasions. Also, we're playing this on the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. This is in HD with 60 frames per second, so enjoy the crispness of it. Of course, it's kind of like that thing where it's yeah, HD. Now let's play some 8-bits. Except this isn't really 8-bits, of course, it's 16, but still, it seems kind of ridiculous that I put on high settings for games that don't really need it that much, but I don't really care. This is for my audience, people. Okay, right here we're just showing off the regular Volt Catfish fight, what it's like without his weakness, which is the Tornado Fang. I almost always have it by this point, so I don't generally fight him without his weakness, but here it is. He's actually fairly tricky without his weakness. Indeed, I don't suspect I'm doing very good, and he also does a lot of damage. However, again, this isn't really an issue for me since I usually have the weapon in question by that time. So next up, it's time to show off the alternate stage, the special stage. The entrance in Volt Catfish's place is right there. And also, something else that is interesting, if you beat Volt Catfish before coming here, then it just activates the elevator. That's the only thing that it does. It's kinda neat that they put that in, but it doesn't really add much to the whole experience. If anything, it makes it more boring. Oh, and also, I glitched the text box, and I was allowed to, move around. Because of course, that seems to be a daily occurrence. I just end up glitching everything I touch. Is my tendency to break everything I touch something I picked up from Proton John? That's also what happens when Vile is defeated without his weakness there. He just disappears and then he'll show up later. That's it. So, now it's time for a lengthy backtracking sequence because this is going to be a while to get all of the things, folks. Before that, though, we're greeted with a cutscene that will shed some light on the whole situation with Dr. Doppler. Or maybe. Who knows? I like to keep things suspenseful, you know. Any problems, Dr. Kane?
I pulled some memory chips from the Mavericks controlled by Dr. Doppler. I analyzed them and found out that Dr. Doppler is trying to create a powerful new battle body by collecting the special abilities from the latest breed of Reploids.
Battle body?
First, I thought Dr. Doppler was trying to create it for himself, but the information indicates that he will not be able to interface with it, so it must be for someone else.
Sigma?
Can he still be alive? A hidden laboratory has been pinpointed at Point D. All indications are that it is Dr. Doppler's secret lab. You need to get there immediately.
On my way.
It's time I put an end to Sigma for good.
Now hold on there. You're jumping to conclusions. Of course it can't be Sigma. It wouldn't. They wouldn't reuse the same character 3 games in a row for no discernible reason now, would they? Anyway, let's head back to Crushed Crawfish's stage to retrieve something that's really cool, that's my favorite ride armor, the Hawk armor. You can actually break it by slamming the ground with the charged up version of Volt Catfish's weapon, the Triad Thunder, and it's a little strange, like I don't know how they expect you to figure that out, that like that's how you break that open, and even if that's even a path to begin with, it's kind of weird and dumb. Anyway, I'll show off the ride armor more thoroughly in the Doppler stages, but for now I just wanted to give you a feel for like how it plays and how it controls. But yeah, that's all we have to show for the Hawk armor. It's my favorite of them, but it still generally doesn't last all that long, so it's not super great. It's just like still a slight improvement over others. Anyway, next up we're heading back to Tunnel Rhino's stage, and we're actually here to retrieve 2 things that I didn't really miss, but like I couldn't get because, like, you know, the whole thing with like not having the right weapons to access some stuff. So first up we have something where like there's a rock that like you're supposed to knock down, and you may be thinking, since it's held up by a rope, that you're supposed to use a Crushed Crawfish's weapon, the spinning blade. And to that, you're actually wrong. You're supposed to charge up the Triad Thunder and then slam the ground? I'm not sure how that works. That's just kinda stupid. Yeah, this game's logic is rather questionable at times. And that's one example of it. Like, why? It doesn't really make any sense that, like, slamming the ground would break the rope. It'd make a whole lot more sense if you used something like the spinning blade to cut the rope, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm leaving in the path to the next upgrade just cause it feels good to like get reacquainted with the stage, plus like, I need to show exactly where it is. So, yeah, that's why I'm just leaving this whole path in. And the head part, by the way, is actually the best it's been in this series so far. I mean, like, granted, that's not really saying much, and even in this, it's not particularly great, but I mean, the others were also kinda useless in previous games, that is, so like, it's not really saying all that much that it's the best so far. By virtue of the others just not being very good, this is by default the best. Trust me, there are good helmet upgrades in this series.
Enter this capsule, X. Take this sensor upgrade to your helmet. The upgrade will help you to find hidden items based on satellite readings. You should be able to tell the exact location of items using its ground-penetrating radar.
So, yes, it actually allows you to locate things that are upgrades. It allows you to, like, locate capsules, as well as hard tanks and sub-tanks. That's pretty cool, but what's really interesting is that in the beta version, it actually included a lot more icons, such as sub-boss rooms, boss rooms, vial capsules, and bit and byte rooms. So that's actually kind of interesting. I'll put it up on screen what these icons were in the beta version, so that y'all can see what they looked like. I think it's likely that they were removed because, like, you need to clear at least 4 Maverick stages before getting the helmet upgrade. So they thought that, like, a lot of the information that the helmet upgrade would provide would be useless or just not necessary. But I think that's more of a testament to just, like, how questionably structured this game is. Yeah, this game is not perfect, folks. And next up we're heading to Neon Tiger's stage because I missed a sub-tank like a dumbass. So, yeah, I don't know how I missed that. Usually I collect that because, like, I kind of have that location memorized. But regardless, next up we're returning to Blast Hornet's stage, so that I can show off the pink head part, which actually allows you to heal by standing still. Now that may sound good, but there aren't a lot of opportunities to use it, so it's not particularly great.
Enter this capsule, X. Install this energy chip. This chip will allow you to recover energy. Stand still and your energy level will slowly increase. Remember, X, your system can only handle one of the 4 enhancement chips. Enter this capsule only if you are sure you want to use this chip. What? You've already installed another chip? I'm sorry, but you can't be equipped with more than 1 chip. Life is sometimes cruel, isn't it, X?
That's actually kind of a funny line. He's just like, life sucks, get used to it. And that's just really funny that it's kind of like humorously cruel. It's just kind of a funny line. Anyway, here's the enhanced head part in action. As you can see, it produces some sparkles around you, some sparks, while you heal. And you don't heal by much, that's another limitation of it. It's not especially effective. Like, the reason I say that you don't get to use it that much is that most bosses don't give you the chance to just sit around, so you got to, like, be on the move, so it's like, it's really not that useful. anyway, enough dilly-dallying, let's finally get around to the Doppler stages, and can I just say, the music to the Doppler stages is fantastic. I just love its action-packed beat. It's honestly one of my favorite themes for a final level in the X series, although, like, the X series already has no shortage of great final level themes. That's pretty cool, and the stage itself is very fun too. Also, another thing is that they're labeled from like A through D, which is interesting, instead of like 1 through 3. In other games, they're numbered 1 through 4, although I believe in X4 they're not really numbered at all. It's kind of interesting. We'll get to that later, but the music, of course, as I've said, is fantastic, and it's just an epic theme to go with this. And like, I don't get why people say that this game is so slow-paced, that like it's a kind of sluggish, and that you can't enjoy it at the same speed as other games in the series.
X, I've come to help you. I'll stop the collapsing ceiling. You destroy that junk robot.
So, yeah, we're given like an easy mini-boss here, and it's actually very easy to take out. So that was it, folks.
X, there's an army of powerful mavericks in Dr. Doppler's lab. They've been modified by Dr. Doppler into war machines. Be careful.
I'll watch my step.
Thanks, Zero. I'm going to scout around. I'll catch up later.
So, since Zero was here, what exactly could that mean? What's it like without Zero? So yes, I went back and recorded some footage here without Zero. Yeah, this LP is kind of really difficult to like edit because it takes so long, but you'll find that there's just a machine at the end of the hallway that you have to destroy yourself. So that's pretty straightforward. And next up, the other thing that I want to talk about, I am aware of this, like I was aware of this back when I got the leg upgrade, the leg enhancement chip, but if you actually get to the place in question in Doppler Stage A with full health for your character, then you can actually get the golden armor, which gives you all 4 enhancement chips. So that's pretty cool. Actually, in order to get it, you also need all upgrades, all armor upgrades.
Enter this capsule, X. Install this chip to enhance all your parts. The situation should now be improved. Good luck, X.
Why are you being like that? That's ridiculous. Why wouldn't you just, like, delete the other capsules if, like, the situation is improved? Like, that seems kind of careless on your part. Enough of that. I'm not really going to show off the golden armor especially thoroughly because it's identical to just having all 4 enhancement chips. So, like, there are no special perks to it. You just, like, get all of the enhancement chips, and I've shown them off already. But, like, we may run into it in some bonus footage. But because I've defeated both Bit and Byte with their weaknesses, that means that we're now fighting a boss that, for once, actually has a name that makes sense. The Press Disposer. And that makes sense because, like, it looks like a waste disposal robot, and it can be a little tricky, but I actually find it to be fairly straightforward. So we're actually going to see this fight, but later on I will, in this video in fact, we'll see the alternate boss fight for Doppler Stage A, because in fact there are 2 bosses for Doppler Stage A, which is really neat. And they also come with some dialogue, but you know, this LP just... I've had to do countless playthroughs just to record all of this footage. It's insane. Because, like, I kept having to, like, record so much, and like, I went through it at least 3 times, probably, like, 4 or 5 times or so, like, this LP was definitely the most editing intensive LP in the X series so far, although I think X5 is definitely going to surpass that because of all of the content on display in X5. I'll talk more about that later, though. So the press disposer, I'm not as practiced with the press disposer as I am with the Godkarmachine O Inary, which, as I've stated before, shall be referred to as Bob, because that's actually pronounceable. So that's actually the boss you'd get if you defeated only Bitterbite with their weaknesses, like you don't defeat both, or if you defeat neither with their weaknesses. I actually died off screen, which I mean goes to show how out of practice I am with the press disposer boss. However, with Bob, I can actually defeat him without much trouble. It actually goes down pretty easily if you ask me, which I mean, a lot of people seem to think that Bob is harder than the press disposer, but I mean, I guess that's not the case for me. Once again, I'm the Armand White of video game difficulty. We've been waiting for you, X.
Dr. Doppler modified us after our first battle against you. Take a look at these new upgrades.
So, yeah, the Godkarmachine O Inary, or as I'm going to refer to this boss, Bob, because, as I've stated before, how do they come up with these strange names? I'm telling you, Bob is actually a fairly tricky fight if you're not used to it. However, because I've practiced this fight extensively, I can deftly dodge it and actually make this fight look very easy. But he moves pretty fast, but there is a way to actually cheese the fight and dodge his attacks, and it's all related to hugging the wall. It's over, Bob! I have the high ground! That's more prequel memes for you. This channel has really degenerated into prequel memes. Although, to be fair, I haven't been using them that much in quite a while, actually. But there you go! No hits! I really am the Armand White of video game difficulty. X, you fought well to defeat Bite, but I will not go down so easily! The victory over Bite was your last. So right here I'm showing off the alternate dialogue, because you actually get alternate dialogue if you defeat Bit or Bite.
X, I've been waiting for you. It was an impressive victory over Bit. Unfortunately, it was your last.
So it's not much. The fight itself is identical, so I'm not going to show off that. Anyway, that will have to be it for this episode. This is the Mississippi King signing out, and in the next episode, we'll get through much of the remainder of Doppler's Laboratory, but we won't finish it. See y'all then.